Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the NFL coverage. Before we get started, remember we have a subscriber giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe, comment on any video for your chance to win $50. It had no negative comments, please. The first 15th of every month is when we will choose the winner randomly. First 15th every month, comment, subscribe. That's all you got to do, and you'll be entered in for life. We have some exciting football that was played this past weekend. I believe there was 5 double-digit comebacks this past weekend, where I believe either ties for the most or it's like the most since 2013, something like that. I forget the specifics, but we're gonna go over kind of week 5 and then talk about some stuff and then go over the matchups for week 6. So Thursday we had San Francisco versus the Rams, OT. 49ers win 26-23 over the Rams. The NFL's International Series for London, the Vikings win 21-17. Looked like the Browns were gonna get that dub there, but Vikings did come out ahead there. Dallas Cowboys beat the Jets 37-22. Denver Broncos beat the Eagles, handing the Eagles their first loss for the season. Broncos win 21-17. The Houston Texans win 44-10, and CJ Stroud looked like the CJ Stroud we were expecting to come out and play compared to like last year, because he is having a rough start of the season, but it looks he's starting to get back in the groove of what we're used to seeing from CJ Stroud. The Saints beat the Giants 26-14. Colts beat the Raiders 40-6. Panthers beat the Dolphins 27-24. The Buccaneers beat the Seahawks 38-35. Titans get their first dub. Shout out to my Titans. We get the dub there late, 22-21. The drive in the fourth quarter from Cam Ward to get the Titans in field goal range, kick the field goal for the dub. Chargers lose to the Commanders. Jane Daniels, another player that, people have been kind of waiting for him to play especially compared to last year, kind of play how we're used to seeing. He comes out and does that, gets the dub 27-10 over the Chargers. Lions beat the Bengals 37-24. And the Patriots give Buffalo Bills their first loss. Patriots win 23-20, so there are no longer any undefeated teams left in the league. Everybody has at least one loss. And then on Monday night, Jacksonville Jaguars gets the dub against the Kansas City Chiefs, 31-28. It was a very close game, very tight there late. Chiefs get the touchdown. The Jacksonville Jaguars drive all the way down, get to the goal line. Trevor Lawrence goes to a handoff, trips, falls, or out of play action, trips, falls, gets up because he was not down by contact, tripped on his own, gets up and runs it in for a touchdown to get the dub there with less than 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. So shout out to Jacksonville Jaguars. This past week, bye weeks were the Falcons, Bears, Packers, and Pittsburgh. Going into statistical leaders. No, standings first. Sorry. AFC East, Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets. AFC North, Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, Browns. AFC South, Colts, Jaguars, Texans, Titans. AFC West, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders. In the NFC, we have Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. NFC North, Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears. NFC South, Bucks, Buccaneers, Falcons, Panthers, Saints. NFC West, 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals. Statistical leaders, passing yards. Matt Stafford, 1,503, 1,503 passing yards. Passing touchdown, Jared Goff with 12. Receiving yards, Puka Nacua, 588 receiving yards. Receiving touchdowns, St. Brown with 6. Rushing yards, Jonathan Taylor, 480. Rushing touchdowns, Jonathan Taylor with 6. Interceptions, Lloyd with 4. Defensive tackles, Brooks with 57. Sacks is Nick, I think Bonito. I think that's how you say that. Botillo. Bonito. Something like that. 7. I'm not familiar with Nick. But Denver Broncos linebacker number 15. Sacks with 7. Okay? Now, I believe... No, we'll get to that. Performance alerts. Matthew Stafford, 30 for 47, 389 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns in his loss against the 49ers. Matthew Stafford, again, is leading the league in passing yards, and he looks like he might finish the league in passing yards. Dak Prescott's not that far behind him. I believe he's like 100 and some change, maybe a little under 200 yards behind Matthew Stafford. So Dak does have the potential to pass him up and be the league leader in passing yards. Sam Darnold, 28 of 34, 341 yards with 4 passing touchdowns in their loss against the Buccaneers. Rico Dowdle, the running back for the Carolina Panthers, 23 carries, 205 yards, and a touchdown in their win against Miami. Definitely got it done there on the ground. Emeka Egbuka, 7 catches, 163 yards, and a receiving touchdown in their win against Seattle. He plays for the Bucs, receiver for the Bucs in their win against Seattle. And last but not least, Derek Barnes, linebacker for the Detroit Lions, 7 total tackles, 1 QB hit, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and the game-sealing safety. And the Lions win against the Lions win. Jesus Christ, I just said it. I forget. It was an unfinished thought. It was Raiders, right? No, it was Colts. The Lions win. Jesus Christ, against Cincinnati. Sorry, mine drew a blank. The win against Cincinnati. And ladies and gentlemen, what's even more exciting than watching football is winning money off of football. And Prize Picks is the most fun way to play your daily fantasy. All you gotta do is pick more or less on at least 2 players' projections on 2 different teams and win up to 25x your money. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. Use the promo code PR-6LZTKHD. That's PR-6LZTKHD. And get $50 in bonus bets when you deposit at least $10. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been on an absolute tear with the sports betting. I've been having so much fun. If I pull my profile, I've only been on it for maybe 3 weeks, and I have 70-something wins. Let me look right now. 77 wins. Okay, so your boy has a high win rate. I love it. It's very easy. You pick over the money line or under, and then you see what happens when you watch the game. Must be 18 or older, 21 or older in some states, not available in all jurisdictions. Please see prizepicks.com for terms and conditions. Void where prohibited. Play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, a couple things I want to discuss from this past week. We have some news with Joe Flacco is being traded to Cincinnati. So I believe after Dylan Gabriel's outing this past game, he did well. He had 160, 70 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, I believe. Let me just go ahead and pull that up real quick. 190 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 19 of 33. So not too bad. Now, the running back had 23 carries, 110 yards. So they were able to kind of keep pressure off of him by getting the run game going. But 192 passing yards, not terrible. Again, his first start in the NFL. And so I think they saw what they needed. They saw enough to where they're buying in on Dylan Gabriel and having Shedeur Sanders as their backup. And because Cincinnati is without Joe Burrow, Jake Browning is starting. Is it Browning or Brown? I want to get these names right because it actually bothers me when I don't get the names right. Yes, it is Browning. I just want to make sure. Jake Browning's playing, and they're not having too much success. So Joe Flacco is being traded to Cincinnati. I think Joe Flacco is going to perform better with Cincinnati because Joe Flacco, I think even at his age, I think he's 40, He's a solid, he's a decent quarterback still. I think he's one of those quarterbacks, if you surround him with the talent, he's going to play at a higher level. I don't think he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that no matter that are just going to make crazy plays or make other teams better or make other players better. Like a Patrick Mahomes, regardless of who his roster is, he's going to elevate the play of the players around him. He's going to throw the perfect ball to where they have nothing to do but to catch it. Or he can make plays on his feet to where the defense has to either spy him, which is going to help have the passing lanes open, or if they don't spy him, he's going to gash him on the rushing, so they're going to have to load the box, which again opens up for the passing. You got guys like Josh Allen who can make it work in terms of running on with his feet, or he's going to throw the ball where it needs to be. If the receiver can't catch it, the defender's not going to get it. So Joe Flacco, I don't think is at that level, but he's one of those guys where if he can get the ball to the receiver, even though there might not be pretty, if you get him behind a good offensive line, which Cincinnati might not be the best option for that, but I believe he's a veteran to the point where he's going to know to get the ball out quick, and he's not going to struggle with the decision making. I think Browning, where he's going wrong is he needs to understand that ball's got to come out quick. Joe Burrow has learned with the Cincinnati, that ball has to come out quick. You got maybe 2.5 seconds. At 2.5, arm needs to be pretty much releasing the ball at 2.5. So windup has to happen at 2 seconds. Browning's holding the ball too long. Joe Flacco knows that because of his veteran experience and having Higgins and Jamar Chase as receivers to throw to. I think Joe Flacco will figure it out because he's going to be surrounded by talent. It's just going to be coming down to getting the ball out quick enough because, unfortunately, Joe Flacco is not a quarterback that's going to kill in the run. So, with Cincinnati, even getting a better quarterback doesn't solve all your problems because you still have to block for that person. But that is going to be interesting moving forward. Next, can Broncos go on a run? So, the Broncos, they've been kind of quiet because they started the season off a little rough, but if we go to the Broncos, do they have a bye this upcoming week? If we go to the Broncos, they are 3-2. They have a winning record. Okay? Not only that, but they have a really good defense. Their defense it was top 5 earlier, but at this season, because it's just based on yardage, it's 8th, top 10. But I still consider them a top 5 defense. And in general, but their passing yards, they're 8th defensively in passing yards, and they're 5th in rushing defense, and they're 2nd in points. They only give up on average 16.8 points, basically 17 points per game on average. So they don't give up a lot of points. And on third down conversions, they're 3rd in the league. They get off the field on third down when they're on defense, which gives their offense more opportunities. So, and their offense is kind of middle of the pack. Their whole offense is like 14th. But they're 3-2, great defense. Their offense is getting better. J.K. Dobbins, he's really starting to get going here in the past few games in the run game. So I believe having a good, healthy mix of passing the ball, because you got Surtain, you got J.K. On the run, and you got Bo Nix, who's kind of a dual threat quarterback, sort of. You can draw up quarterback draws for him, or he can kill you in the scramble. And he can also throw the ball when he needs to. When he's got a clear cut route, he can get the ball to the receiver. So it's going to be this interesting dynamic of can they keep it going with the momentum? Because in their division, which is the AFC West, they have a tied record with the Chargers. So as of right now, Broncos are in a really good position to potentially be the division leaders here in a week or two. We'll see. It depends how the Chargers do. But Broncos are right there. They're a game away from being division leaders. So that's going to be something I keep my eye on as the weeks progress. Next discussion. Jacksonville's becoming a quiet 4-1 team. I think Jacksonville hasn't really got too much hype because some of their games have been sloppy. They have been kind of but their run game is solid. The running back for Jacksonville, I believe, is top 5 in rushing yards. And you have their defensive 7, their linebackers and D-line, phenomenal. I believe in rushing defense, they're top 5. Let me pull up, so I have the specific numbers here, because they play the Seahawks this upcoming week. Their rushing defense was top 5. It's dropped to 11th. But they only give up 97 rushing yards a game. But their front 7 is, talent-wise, is stout. It's been really hard for teams to get going on the run against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm curious to see, can they keep this momentum going? Because I'll talk about in a little bit about them facing the Seahawks, who's going to be, I think it's going to be a big test for them, because Sam Darnold was a high volume thrower. Pass attempts, his pass attempts are he has a high pass attempt rating. So that's going to be an interesting setup for them. And I believe, I was going to say Kenneth Walker, they're going to have to respect the pass and the run against the Seattle Seahawks. Because Kenneth Walker, if you don't show up and respect him, he will tear one on you, on the field in terms of running the ball. So that one I'm curious, because they've been a quiet 4-1. I feel like they're not really being talked about, but they've only had 1 loss this season. All right, next on the discussion, we got to talk about the Jets. I believe, let me double check my notes, my overall notes. I believe the Jets, okay, yes, like I thought. The Jets are the only 0-5 team. Every other team has at least 1 win and at least 1 loss. So there's no undefeated teams, but Jets are the only team that has yet to win a game, okay? You got Justin Fields. Now, individually, Justin Fields is putting up numbers. He's throwing 300-plus yards, 270-plus yards. He's throwing touchdowns. I think he's throwing a couple touchdowns every game. No interceptions, yet to turn the ball over, right? Because I say that, watch him throw an interception this upcoming game. But no interceptions, getting the ball in the end zone, he's also doing well on his feet, except for this past game, because I had a bet on his rushing yards, but I don't remember if he hit it or not. But anyway, so the Jets is an interesting spot, because you have your quarterback. They finally got their guy. He's playing pretty well individually, but they're not winning games. They're 0-5. And then here's the very interesting part. If I go to the Jets here, the interesting part is I believe that was not last year, but the year before and last year, Jets were kind of in that same boat as the Broncos, where their offense was it was either to bad. Their defense was really good. The year Aaron Rodgers got hurt and didn't play the whole season, I believe even halfway through the season, they still had a chance of making the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers, because their defense was the only thing keeping them in the game. They had a top 5 defense. Their defense was scoring points for their offense. Their defense was scoring points, getting turnovers, holding teams to 15, 16, 17 points. And they were still in a position to make the playoffs. Eventually, they end up not, because their offense was just so lackluster, lack of offense. But even last year, when they still didn't do too well, even last year, they had a really solid defense. This year, their defense overall is okay, but their secondary, obviously you got Sauce Gardner there. Their pass defense is 13th, which is middle of the pack. The problem is they give up a lot of points. So with the Jets, I think this upcoming week, which I talk about in my game of interest, I think this is one of those things. If you're the Jets, do you try to salvage this season, or are you already, okay, this season's going to be whatever. It is what it is at this point. The season's going to be whatever, and start looking at the draft. Because if they don't win a game this year, or as of right now, they're getting the number 1 pick. So you got your quarterback, right? And you got your receiver, Garrett Wilson. So you have the weapons. You have Breece Hall. So you got your running back, really solid running back, can catch out of the backfield. You got your downfield threat, your for sure catching Garrett Wilson. You got your quarterback now with Justin Fields. And if you potentially end up with the number 1 pick, you can pick whether it's D-line. I I doubt you go offensive lineman first pick. But again, with the first pick, you can pick another off. You probably going to be an offensive weapon. I assume either a receiver or it's probably going to be a defensive lineman, because they have to figure out, it's their front line is what's really giving up the yards. Like I said, their secondary, I believe, is solid. They can, you can draft. They'll probably draft for depth in the secondary, but their rushing defense is 27th. Their points 31st, second to last. Third down conversion is not bad, but the reason why their third down conversion is 11th, so just outside of the top 10. And the reason why their third down conversion is pretty good is because when it's third and medium and long, and it's most likely a passing play, their secondary is good. They get off the field because it's a pass. When it's third and short and it's a run, the teams are usually converting those against. So they have to find a way to beef up their defensive line. And at this point in the season, no team has made the playoffs once they started 0-5. So there's a very small, it has never happened, but a very small chance they went out for some certain reason. They figured out, they went out, just Phil goes crazy, Garrett Wilson goes crazy, Breece Hall goes crazy. They figure it out and they end up making the playoffs, and then you try to go for a run. Very, very unlikely. It's never happened before. It's not impossible. It still could. But the other side of that is we're 0-5. Statistically, we're not going to make the playoffs. Statistically, we're very likely that we don't make the playoffs. So I don't want to say tank, but you kind of don't worry about fixing the problems, make it through the season, and go for that first round pick now that you have a foundation. You see what I'm saying? So that's very interesting. It's very interesting for me with the Jets. So upcoming matchups, let's get straight into it. Okay. Thursday night, we got Eagles-Giants. Okay. Sunday, International Series London, we got Broncos-Jets. Then we have Cardinals at Colts, Rams at Ravens, Browns at Steelers, Seahawks at Jaguars, Chargers at Dolphins, Cowboys at Panthers, Patriots at Saints, Titans at Raiders, 49ers at Buccaneers, Bengals at Packers, Lions at Chiefs. And then Monday night, we got doubleheader, Bills at Falcons and Bears at Commanders. Bye week is Houston Texans and Minnesota Vikings. Coach Strib's games of interest. So the first game I'm interested in is Steelers versus Browns. So it's going to be Dylan Gabriel versus arrested Aaron Rodgers. The reason why this is an interesting one for me is you no longer have Joe Flacco with the Browns. So the guy that they're going in with, or the guy that they're doubling down on at their quarterback position, is Dylan Gabriel as of right now, right? He had a decent outing last week. So now it's going to be game 2. The opposing team has a full game of footage on him, has tape on him. How does he show up? Does he come in, play the same, and he starts to fill out? Does he elevate? Or was that previous game with 2 touchdowns, 190, was that a fluke, right? What is he going to do when the Steelers defense starts making adjustments? They got film on him. They got at least a game worth of tendencies from him. How does he adjust? So that's what I'm interested to see. And pretty much, can he get his first dub as the starting quarterback for the Browns? Now, from the Steelers' perspective, I still want to see Aaron Rodgers play at the level he was playing at, right? Week 1, the 4 touchdown passes, phenomenal. Then we had that very rough game 2. And then since then, he's played at a pretty high level, pretty well this season. Now I want to see him off of a bye week, come in. Can he continue to play at that level? They got DK Metcalf there. So I want to see Aaron Rodgers come out and play like the Aaron Rodgers we're used to seeing, or the Aaron Rodgers we saw week 1, keeping that momentum for the Steelers, because the Steelers are 4-1. So the Steelers are in a really good position to be division leaders and make the playoffs, which is a big thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Second game of interest is going to be Broncos versus Jets. Okay? This is, from the Jets perspective, I talked about this. I think if they lose this game and they are 0-6, I think the higher-ups, whether it's the GM, maybe not coaches, because I don't think a coach wants to go out there and try to lose. But I think as a GM, as an owner, you're starting to have those conversations of when you try to get that first-round pick. You're 0-6. You're Yeah, 0-6. At that point, maybe start thinking about shutting down Justin Fields. Obviously, it's too early. You don't want to just completely like, hey, you're not playing the rest of the season. But I think those conversations, if they haven't started being had, I think if they lose this one, they go 0-6, then I think it's pretty much wraps for the Jets. Then that conversation has of, okay, we got to find a way to not intentionally, I don't like the idea of intentionally taking, but maybe you don't fix some mistakes and you let it ride out, and hopefully you end up with the worst record and you can get the first round draft pick to pair up a receiver with Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields, or try to beef up that defensive line with getting the best pass rusher or the best interior or edge rusher you can possibly find. So we'll see. But from the Denver's perspective, can they keep that momentum going? Denver Broncos knock off the undefeated Eagles. Bo Nix had a pretty good game. J.K. Dobbins had a pretty good game. Surtain had a pretty good game. Can they keep that momentum and keep going? Because the Broncos are 3-2. They have a winning record. They started off a little rough. I think they started off 0-2. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. Let me double check. But I do remember talking about the Broncos. They started off, so at one point they were 1-2. Now they're 3-2. They've won 2 straight. Can the Broncos keep the momentum going? And then we're talking about Broncos potentially being division leaders here if they keep this momentum. So that's a game of interest for me to watch. Okay. My next one, Dallas versus Panthers. Let's go to that. Let's pull that one up. Because Dallas, that is not the Dallas versus Pittsburgh game or Panthers game. So Dallas is 2-1. Not a losing record, not a winning record. Panthers are 2-3. Now, Dallas offensively has looked phenomenal. They have the number 1 offense in total yards, 3rd in passing yards, 8th in rushing yards, 4th in points, 9th in third down conversions. They score points. They drive the field. It's hard to stop Williams in the run game. It's hard to stop Turpin and Pickens in the pass games. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is out. And then even Williams is doing well from like a check down perspective. I think this is a must win for the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason why I think it's a must win is because I think for the rest of their schedule, this is the easiest game left on the schedule for the rest of the season. They play the Giants again, but they don't play the Giants for the last game of the season, week 17. So maybe that might be the next easiest game, but it's the last game of the season. By then, where they are in playoff talks has already been established. Will probably already be established. So this game is a must win because let's pull up their schedule. After the Panthers, so they got Panthers, then they got Commanders, then they got Broncos, Cardinals, then it's a bye week. They got Raiders, okay, maybe Raiders, but I mean, Raiders are 1-4, maybe not. Then you got Eagles division game. Then you got Chiefs. We'll see where the Chiefs will look like by then. Then you have the Lions, but Lions and Bills are probably, besides their losses, they've been playing the best ball this season so far. Then you got Vikings, then you got Chargers, you play the Commanders again, and then you have Giants. So Panthers and maybe Raiders are probably the weakest teams left on the schedule. So everybody else, so this one has to be a dominant win. This needs to be the game where the defense puts it together and get momentum defensively. Because again, we talk about how good their offense was. Defensively, they're dead last in total defense. They're dead last in passing defense. They're 23rd in rushing defense. They're 29th in points. They give up 30 points. And their third down conversion is dead last. Teams convert almost 55% of their third downs when a team is on offense against Dallas. They gave up 54.9%. 55% of the time, the opposing team is converting third downs. They have to figure it out. And what team to do that with than the 24th ranked offense in the league? If you can't figure it out against an offense that's in the bottom 10 of the league, then it's going to be a very rough season for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, they're going to score a lot of points. They're going to give up a lot of points. Because as of right now, they give up more points than they score. They give up 30 points, 30 0.8 points, they only score on average 29.8. So they give up one more point on average defensively than they do that they score. Now, that's, again, it's still kind of early. We're talking week 6, but week 6, we are at least a fourth of the way through the season. Yeah, we're over a fourth of the way of the season, so a quarter of the way through. So once we get close to that halfway mark, then teams are pretty much, it is what it is at this point. So this is a must win for Dallas, because I think if they lose this one, it's going to be hard season, or hard to get wins later in the season when they're going against other top defenses. Now, I will say, Panthers' defense is top 10. Their defense is 9th, total defense. They have the top 10 passing defense, and rushing defense is 14th. So Panthers, I'm not saying it's going to be a walk in the park, per se. It might be, because there's a lot of matchup and coaching stuff. But we'll see. Panthers defense is not some defense that you can just show up, play your B game against and think you're just going to get whatever you want. Okay? They still have to show up. So that's a game of interest for me. And last but not least, the Bucks versus 49ers. The reason why this one is on the list is because they're both 4-1. I feel like the hype around these teams have been kind of quiet, right? I think Baker Mayfield is being talked about because I think he's in the MVP race. But they had to come from behind multiple games. But the first 3 games of the season, he had to have 3 straight game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. That's not sustainable, but we'll see. But Baker Mayfield's looking good. Bucks are looking good. The 49ers is where it's very interesting, because you have, hot take, I think Mac Jones is the best backup quarterback in the league right now, because he's holding it down for Brock Purdy. He's looking phenomenal. He's there again, 4-1. He's been looking great. Christian McCaffrey's also obviously been looking great. The team is just playing absolutely phenomenal. And you got Mac Jones. Like, there's no drop when they're back. Like, with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson's at high level, and no disrespect to Cooper Rush, but the team is significantly, there is a drop in productivity, a drop in the team's, how good the team is, or the team's ability when Cooper Rush is in as the backup. With Brock Purdy, 49ers are up here. Mac Jones, there is no drop. Mac Jones has shown he's just as capable of making those plays, making those throws, scoring touchdowns or throwing touchdowns just as much as Brock Purdy. And watching one of the games, a commentator had said, if, let's say for some reason Mac Jones keeps playing at this high level, and, let's say we don't know how long Purdy's going to be out, but let's say he's out for an extended amount of time, Mac Jones is just carrying the team and playing phenomenal. 49ers are going to have a tough decision to make, because you got a backup that is well suited to be a starter somewhere. He was a starter for the Patriots, if people don't remember. So, yeah, it's very interesting to me. I'm interested to see. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Baker Mayfield, I think he's going to show up and show out. And I also think that Mac Jones is going to show up and show out as well. So that is going to be all of my games of interest. I'm not putting the Titans on there because, the Titans aren't doing very well. But if they win this next game, we'll see. Who do they play? Who did I say they play? The Titans play the Raiders. So both 1-4. Titans win this one, I might be like, interesting, and put them back on the list, because then they'll be 2-4. But until then, I'm not putting them on there. But that's going to be it for this episode of the NFL Covers. I'll catch you guys next time.